I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to our ongoing combined series of Dave versus the MSM and Operation Freedom briefings. The goal of these briefings in my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, which airs out of the People's Republic of Ann Arbor, out of Wham Talk 1600 studios, and you can stream it live and free every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. Just go to davejanda.com, hit the listen live button, you're with us. Great guests, great analysis, information you're never going to get through the bought-off lamestream fake media, or frankly any other platform, because many of the guests I bring forward, they come to our platform. They don't go anywhere else. Our goal is to educate and empower as many people as possible. And we've been successful because of you. Your willingness to take the information and educate and empower others. Today, I want to focus on three simple questions. Just three. And they focus on our foreign policy. A foreign policy that's not dependent and does not create chaos, conflict, war, death, and destruction. Because when you boil it all down, whether it's the Bush 1 administration or Bush 2 or Clinton or Obama or Biden, it was all about war. It was only in the Trump 1.0 administration that we didn't have massive wars. Which is probably why they wanted to impeach him. It doesn't make it very popular with the military-industrial complex when you focus on peace, when you focus on negotiating. Now, foreign policy, unfortunately, has been degraded over all those administrations, and even before, to foment war, death, destruction, launder money, launder drugs, launder weapons, launder people in human trafficking operations. 2 days before President Trump took the oath of office for the second time, Tom Woods, a political analyst, wrote, "The entire U.S. regime rests on a mountain of lies that contribute to its power and enrich its key players. The history of U.S. wars and foreign policy is a pile of lies that would embarrass a second grader. The track records of various federal agencies are distorted and lied about in order to justify ever higher budgets. As usual, the U.S. government accuses other entities and individuals of doing the very things that it does every day." I was a skeptic of Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, as a nominee, mainly because of ties he had with the globalist syndicate. But so far, he's done a good job. Still got to watch him, and a number of others. But so far, so good. And the foreign policy of the Biden chaos, Obama-Biden chaos and death and destruction machine came to a screeching halt on January 20th, about 1 minute after noon. An executive order, about an hour later, came forward from President Trump about reevaluating and realigning United States foreign aid. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it's hereby ordered, Section 1, United States foreign aid industry and bureaucracy are not aligned with American interests, and in many cases are against American values. They serve to destabilize world peace by promoting ideas in foreign countries that are directly inverse to harmonious and stable relations internal to and amongst countries. Section 2. It's the policy of the United States that no further United States foreign assistance shall be dispersed in a manner that is not fully aligned with the foreign policy of the President of the United States. And Section 3. a 90-day pause in United States foreign development assistance for assessment of programmatic efficiencies and consistency with the United States foreign policy. That was immediately followed up by Marco Rubio, who sent a cable, a memo, to all U.S. diplomats worldwide. This from Philip Wegman. President Trump's new diplomat, Marco Rubio, promised to focus on mass migration, terminate DEI policies within the State Department, end the censorship of American people. Remember, the Global Engagement Center that has been integral in the censorship of me and this platform and a number of others in the independent media was being poked at here. And to pursue energy dominance. Here's what he said in the memo. Refreshing. Quote, every dollar we spend, every program we fund, and every policy we pursue must be justified with the answer to three simple questions. The questions are the following. Does the action we take make America safer? Second, does the action we take make America stronger? And third, does the action we take make America and Americans more prosperous? Imagine that. As opposed to making you fearful and dependent on them so that they could steal more of your freedoms and liberties. Safer, stronger, and more prosperous. Very refreshing. And then Elon and the Doge crew were unleashed in looking at expenditures. And the first entity they dissected on the foreign relations, if you want to call it that, foreign chaos front, was an organization called USAID that many people believe is a relief organization. That's its cover. You know, when I started the radio show Operation Freedom over 14 years ago, I was speaking about USAID. And that, in fact, it was a tentacle of the intelligence agencies, mainly the CIA. And that it was involved in nefarious activities around the world, not promoting peace or relief, but chaos, destruction, and death. I was threatened for making those statements. I was targeted. I was censored. I was harassed. In the end, I was right. Ron Paul recently stated, audit the USAID, then shut it down. Here's what he said. USAID is not a relief agency. It's a key component of the U.S. government's regime change operations worldwide. USAID spends billions of dollars every year propping up non-government organizations overseas that function as shadow governments, eating away at elected governments that the U.S. interventionists want to overthrow. Behind most U.S. foreign policy disasters overseas, you will see the fingerprints of USAID. From Ukraine to Georgia, Soviet Georgia, and far beyond. USAID has and is meddling in the internal affairs of foreign countries. Something that would infuriate Americans if it was in fact happening to us. And well, it has been happening to us. And then Elon and his crew, his posse, outed USAID. Actually, shut it down. President Trump moved USAID into the purview of the State Department to be mothballed. Carolyn Leavitt, who is a fantastic press secretary at the White House, took information that Elon and the Doge crew unearthed and brought it forward. Here's what she exposed. She laid out exactly what U.S. taxpayers had been paying money for that was being funneled into USAID. And USAID was then funneling it overseas for expenditures that were beyond off the charts. 2.5 million, it's just a brief, 2.5 million to fund DEI programs in Serbia. $70,000 on an Irish DEI musical. $47,000 on transgender operas in Colombia. $32,000 on a trans comic book in Peru. All this while domestically, when disasters hit East Palestine, Ohio, with the train derailment, the fires in Maui, Lahaina, the Hurricane Helene disasters in western North Carolina, and eastern Tennessee and Georgia, the wildfires out in California, there was no money. But there was money for this. No. And USAID used these non-government organizations that were laundering money. Actually, it appears that laundering money back into politicians' pockets back here in the United States. Laundering money into preferred providers for USAID. But the NGOs were getting a huge amount of the laundered money. Investigative journalist Michael Yon, who's done a tremendous amount of work about illegal immigration. A lot of his work has been done on the ground in Central America, Mexico. When I first actually started looking at the refugee resettlement program over a dozen years ago, there was an individual by the name of Ann Corcoran who had uncovered a tremendous amount about these nefarious money laundering activities with these NGOs that were bringing illegals that were undocumented, untested, unvetted into the United States and moving them all around the country. And she had identified that many of these NGOs were faith-based, I use that term loosely, NGOs. And they were making billions of dollars. Anne got so much heat, she had to step back. I kept pursuing it. It became evident that these NGOs were getting huge amounts of taxpayer dollars that was being laundered through such agencies that were supposedly relief organizations as USAID. And they were involved in human trafficking, involved drug trafficking, involved incredible harm to every American. Investigative journalist Michael Yon. Catholic Charities, Lutheran Services, HIAS, Jewish-based organization, the Vatican itself, are all openly involved in child trafficking and invading our countries with criminals, with rapists, with pedophiles. They are literally, he stated, an axis of evil. He states, no evil, don't choose evil. But unfortunately, that's what these NGOs did. And they are our enemies. They are. You see, folks, those three simple questions: safer, stronger, more prosperous, are basic. But they're inherently bring about good, not evil. Not chaos, not conflict, not war. Not drug trafficking, not weapons trafficking, not money laundering, and not human trafficking. Our foreign policy is looking up. It's also looking toward peace. It's also uncovering issues that have been covered up for years. For approximately 10 years, I've had some guests on my platform speaking about the genocide that's occurring in South Africa. Well, our foreign policy, through Obama and Biden, never addressed it. But President Trump recently has. South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. It's a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want to put much attention on. A massive human rights violation at a minimum is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of this situation has been completed. And that's key. Cutting off the money flow that has created and breeded and promoted evil. Pentagon's new Mideast policy chief wants to scale down the U.S. presence in the Middle East. Trump administration has appointed a new Middle East policy chief in the Pentagon who believes the U.S. should scale down its military presence. A guy by the name of Domino. He wants a less interventionist foreign policy. Here's what he said. Vital or existential U.S. interests in the Middle East are best characterized as minimal to non-existent. And I think if you look at America's experience as the primary security broker for the region, it has not rendered any lasting political, economic, or security benefits in service of U.S. interests or the American people. Trump cuts Ukraine aid. The Trump State Department halted spending on almost all foreign aid grants for 90 days, which appears also to apply for military assistance to Ukraine. All orders of all department staffers were given to stop work orders on nearly all existing foreign assistance awards. And President Trump, diplomacy, negotiating, peace. Quote, settle now and stop this ridiculous war. He's referring to Ukraine. And that got Putin's attention. And then, from a Pentagon source, the U.S. has massively halted arms shipments to Ukraine. The United States has withdrawn all applications for the transit of goods in the interests of Ukraine through Eastern Europe. All shipments of weapons and military equipment to Ukraine have been stopped at NATO bases. All Pentagon employees involved in arms supplies to Kiev have been suspended. And a large-scale audit of the misuse of funds for aid to Ukraine has initiated. And that's where we are, folks. A new and improved foreign policy that focuses on peace, that focuses on accountability and transparency and truth, that focuses on 3 simple questions. 3 simple questions. Does the action make America safer? Does the action make America stronger? And does the action make America and Americans more prosperous? We have come a long way since January 20th. We've got a little ways to go yet. But if we keep this focus on safer, stronger, and more prosperous, then we're going to see the criminality in our foreign policy operations come to an end. I thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. I do another 4 to 5 video format shows every week. I do a 3-hour radio show every Sunday. We have archives to all of our shows, and we've done a recent revamp on our website. We have a short take section with short form programming, the longer form programming, the subscription programming. We have a tail of the tape section where we kind of parallel it with me speaking about something years ago and then years later it happening. We really have an unparalleled track record because of our unparalleled sources that I have developed for 36 years in D.C. and in capitals around the world. Because of my work, which started in Washington, D.C., on healthcare policy when I was brought in as a consultant to the Reagan administration toward the end of his term. And I ended up having to work with a number of great individuals. And those individuals and I have developed a network, a freedom network, hence the term for the radio show, Operation Freedom, to bring information that you're never going to get from the bought-off lamestream fake media, and for that matter, from most independent media sources. I hope you join us. We make it incredibly cheap, 30 cents a day, $9 a month on the subscription side, plus the email alert service. It's priceless. It really is. That's what our subscribers say. We put you, not days or weeks, but months and years ahead of the curve. I thank you for joining me today. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.